At the very start of his journey, Christian had already been in the slough of despond and strayed most foolishly from the straight and narrow path. But he had been warned, just in time, by his friend Evangelist, that his right road lay through a distant wicket gate. As he was hurrying along, he came across 3 men, fast asleep, with fetters on their heels. They were called Simple, Presumption, and Sloth. Christian knew that to sleep on that particular road was like sleeping in the rigging of a ship when a storm was brewing. "Wake up," he cried, "and I will help you off with your irons." But they only opened one eye at him and yawned.
"I see no danger,"
said Simple. "Oh, I want to go on sleeping," said Sloth.
"Every tub must stand on its own bottom,"
said Presumption. Then they all 3 rolled over and went to sleep again. So Christian proceeded on his way, troubled to think that men in such danger should so little esteem his kindness in waking them. We are now to learn how wise it was of Christian to warn them. For as he drew nearer the gate, he saw that it was firmly closed. And even as he reached it, he felt the wind of an arrow swish past his ear and bury itself in the woodwork. Looking round in terror, he now saw on the opposite hill a strong castle with a host of dark, menacing figures on the battlements. Christian didn't dally. He knocked with all his might. A second arrow narrowly missed him. "Who's there?" asked a voice. "A poor burdened traveller. I come from the city of destruction, and I'm going to the celestial city." To his relief, the gate was quickly opened, and a hand pulled him in. Then Christian asked the guardian of the gate, whose name was Goodwill, "What mean these arrows?" To which he answered, "Yonder castle belongs to Beelzebub, the prince of the devils. Both he and his soldiers will shoot their darts at anyone who tries to enter here. They aim to kill you before you reach safety. You are fortunate to be alive." "Oh, I tremble and rejoice," said Christian. "Why do you come alone?" "Because none of my neighbours, and none whom I encountered on the road, saw the danger. But I'm not one to talk. I also nearly turned aside, persuaded by the arguments of Mr. Worldly Wise Man. And I don't know what would have become of me had not Evangelist met me again when I was musing in the midst of my dumps. And, truth to tell, I'm still much inconvenienced by this burden. I just can't seem, however hard I try, to get it off my back. Could you please help me off with it? No man can get it off for you, said Goodwill, but keep to the straight and narrow path, and it will lead you to the place of deliverance. Oh, how long will that take? Christian asked himself as he girded up his loins and plodded on his way. His next stop was to be the house of the interpreter, who, Goodwill had told him, could give him useful lessons for his journey. It was a large and mysterious house, such as one visits in dreams. Its master, in answer to his knock, asked him what he wanted. "Sir," said Christian, "I'm here to seek your help." "Come in," said the interpreter, "and I will show you a thing or two." First, he led him into a parlour, which was full of dust, because it was never swept. So the interpreter called for a serving maid to sweep it. But the dust began to fly, and Christian began to choke. Never had he seen such dust, and he groped around blindly. Then he heard the interpreter telling the maid, "Bring hither water and sprinkle the room." And all at once the dust had cleared, and the maid was sweeping it up with pleasure. "This parlour," said the interpreter, "is the soul of a man clogged with the dust of sin. But see how easily, by God's grace, it can be cleansed." Next, he led Christian into another dark room, where there sat a man in an iron cage. He sat motionless, with his eyes looking downwards, and his hands folded together. "Who's this?" asked Christian. "Talk with him and see," said the interpreter. "I was once a flourishing professor," said the man, "both in my own eyes and also in the eyes of others. I was on my way, as I thought, to the celestial city, and I was confident of getting there, but I failed to keep watch. I followed the pleasures of the world, which proved to be an empty bubble. And now I'm shut up in this cage, a man of despair who can't get out." No further explanations were given. No one said who put him there. But the interpreter whispered to Christian, "Bear well in mind what you have seen." Finally, Christian was led to a gateway, like the one which he had lately entered. Beside it sat a man at a table, with a book and an inkhorn before him, to take the name of anyone who wished to pass through. But the gate was guarded by fierce men in armour, ready to do to any traveller what hurt and mischief they could. And though there stood a great company of people desirous of going in, they didn't dare. Then, as it were a scene upon the stage, Christian saw a valiant man approach.
"Set down my name, sir,"
he said. That done, he drew his sword, and, rushing at the gate, he went to work. cutting and hacking with such deadly force that he cut his way to safety. I think I know the lesson of this, said Christian triumphantly as he resumed his journey. His safety would depend, it seemed, not on cleverness, but on simple courage. How his burden had got on his back in the first place, and why nobody else had burdens, as happens in dreams, we are not told. But never had he been so eager as he was now to be rid of it, and that, did he but know it, was half the battle.